I'm Debbie Godfrey. Welcome to the Positive Parenting Pep Talks podcast.
One thing kids learn early on is how to push our buttons, and how long it takes to break us down. So how long do they have to scream, yell, complain, cry, whine before we give in? So one of the ways to counteract them learning that and then pushing us that far every time they don't want to do what we're asking them to do is to do something we call responding like a broken record. And what this looks like is you taking a moment each time that your child misbehaves and figuring out what's the best possible discipline response here. So if my child's doing this misbehavior, what's the best response that I can give them right now? And you want to figure that out. So whether that takes you 2 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes, give yourself the time to figure out what's the best response. And then you respond like a broken record with that response. So for example, if my child's getting out of bed and when they get out of bed, I yell at them, get back in your bed. And then they get out of bed and then I tell them to get back in their bed and I might say it louder. And then they get out of bed and they want to drink and then I yell again. All of this is escalating to the point where I'm finally going to lose it and become crazy parent. And instead of doing that, I'll take a moment and figure out, okay, what's the best response if my child's getting out of bed? Well, I guess what I'll do is I'll pick my child up or take my child by the hand, depending on their age and how big they are, and walk them back to their room. And I'll say, Michael will learn to stay in his bed and after it's bedtime, and put him in bed. And what you want to do is just keep having that same response. So when he walks out of the bedroom again, you just pick him up or take him by his hand, whatever you've decided to do, and say, Michael will learn when it's bedtime, it's time to stay in bed, and put him back in his room. And you might have to do this 20 or 30 or 40 times when you first implement it, when you first start doing it. If you continue to respond like a broken record, and every time that he comes out of his bed, just pick him up and take him back and mumble the words, Michael will learn to stay in his bed when it's bedtime, your child will eventually get it and eventually stay in bed. And the next night, it might only take 10 or 20 times. And eventually, they'll learn that you're going to be consistent and you're going to stick with this. The problem happens when you lose it somewhere along the way. So somewhere along the way of implementing whatever discipline you've decided to do, if you lose your temper and you get upset and then you yell at them or give in and let them get away with it, or do something to upset the process from happening the way you intended it, they're learning exactly how long it took to get you to change your mind. And so that's how it's undermining your parenting. So responding like a broken record means that you've got the time and the energy to do it as long as it takes without losing it. So you've got to have been taking care of yourself and have enough energy that if it takes 30 times of carrying them back to bed, that you can do it. If you get tired and you have a spouse, you can always play tag team and say, honey, your turn. Explain to them what you're doing and put them on it. So responding like a broken record is going to be one of the best ways to become consistent and to show your kids that whatever you say, you mean, and you're not going to lose it. You're going to just stick with it. When they're young, it takes a lot of repetitions. As they get older, it should take less and less, and they'll start to learn that they're not going to get away with this. You're just going to stick with this until they've gotten it. So have a great day. Happy parenting. Be consistent.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Positive Parenting Pep Talks podcast. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Debbie Godfrey, owner and founder of positiveparenting.com. I hope you'll go and check out my website and follow me on Instagram and let me know about what you thought about today's episode. Did you learn something new? Were you able to do something different with your children? Did you have a success story? Those are my favorite to share. Let me know. Contact me. I'd love to hear from you. And also, what future topics would you be interested in hearing about on the Positive Parenting Pep Talks podcast? Thank you so much for being here and for all of your support. Take care and happy parenting.